Have you ever noticed how several different people, like on different continents, like separated by oceans, separated by cultures and even languages, can all of a sudden come up with the same idea, the same invention at the same time? Isn't that odd? Because it's happened so many times throughout history. It really has. And it makes you wonder, well, how does that happen? I mean, coincidences. Okay, I don't believe in coincidence, by the way. However, okay, fine. We'll go with coincidence. But it happens so often that it's like, yeah, there's something. Yeah, no. Nope, not a coincidence. So what is it? Dear loved ones, I mean, that's a setup question, right? That's a hypothetical question. What it is it's it is a thought field, the field of consciousness, the field of everything. There's like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything exists in the in the quantum realm, in quantum physics. You know what I mean? Sometimes people get all triggered when you use the words like realm because it sounds like you're getting woo woo. Yeah, that is mighty tasty, sir. Anyway, so but in quantum physics, there's such thing as superposition. Now, superposition says that a particle can exist in, well, everywhere, multiple locations at once. Because until it is observed, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. And it's nowhere. Until something is observed, it's just a possibility. And there have been some experiments in physics to prove this. One was Schrodinger's cat. And Schrodinger's cat, I don't know, Dr. Schrodinger said that if I put my cat in this box with a vial of poison or whatever, and I seal it up, and then I walk away and come back after some time. I'm real scientific here, aren't I? Real scientific. Anyway, and I come back, is the cat alive or is it dead? Well, until you open the box, you really don't know. I guess you could give it a good shake. But anyway, scientifically speaking, we don't know until we look. So, is the cat alive or dead? Well, I don't know. Well, you have to give an answer. Well, the cat is both alive and dead. Or neither, which is still the same thing, correct? And another experiment that physics have used is the double slit experiment. And man, every time I try to explain the double slit experiment on the podcast or whatever, I butcher it. But anyway, here goes nothing, right? So in the double slit, I mean, there's some really, by the way, there are some very good explanations by actual physicists on YouTube if you're interested in this kind of thing. And you don't have to be interested in physics or science or math or anything, because I promise you I'm not, okay? I'm a spiritual guy. But I do like to, well, I had an experience years ago, and I don't want to say it was a near-death experience. I don't know. Okay? I'm an addict in recovery. My life is an open book. I don't care. I'll tell anybody this. And about 9 years ago now, almost, we'll say 8.5, I had a very, very bad overdose. In fact, the doctor at the ER said this is as bad of an overdose as you can possibly have and survive. That was it. I mean, one little tick over the line and you wouldn't have made it. So anyway, I realized afterward, not much afterward, I realized afterward that I was aware while I was out of it. And I was in the black. Okay, and it's not scary. It's not anything. Actually, you just kind of become part of the flow of everything. You kind of become one with the universe. It's like you return back to where we came from. And it was very nice. There was no sense of anything. I just was. It's just a pure state of being. Anyway, that was a sidetrack because my whole point was, growing up, I was always interested in the arts. I played music. I was into art class, advanced art classes, you name it. Now, English I was okay with, mainly because I was interested in literature. But science and math, forget it. No, thank you. I did not want anything to do with science or math. Not even the cool kind of science. Whatever. I didn't care. No. However, after that experience, I came back with an interest in geometry and physics, particularly quantum physics. And when you get so far into spirituality, I guess you do kind of have to gravitate towards quantum physics in a way, or at least the quantum field and things of that nature. But so anyway, why did I even start this? Well, anyway, saying I was never interested in quantum physics. Okay? I came back from that experience all of a sudden interested in quantum physics. All right. But you still kind of got to keep it on the spiritual side for me. Anyway, the double slit experiment is an experiment that they did to basically determine how particles behave. So what they did is they had a wall. We'll use this for a wall. And then they had another wall with two slits in it, one on each side. And they took let's say a gun, fired particles at it, and it would fire particles at it. Did it go through this slit or this slit? Don't know. So they turned the thing on, went away, I don't know, had some dinner, whatever. Came back, and on the wall was a wave pattern. The back wall. Did it go through this slit or this slit? Now, if you average it out, it's like, well, it should have went through 50% this one, 50% that one. So it should be a line here and a line here. But it didn't. It made a wave pattern, meaning the particles that went through there went this way, that way, this way, that way, both ways, no ways, don't know. So it's like, well, that's odd. How did that happen? What we're going to do is we're going to set up a camera and watch it. Okay, so they set up the camera, they turn the machine back on, and they go back out. Maybe have some cocktails. All right, well, so then they come back later, expecting to see this wave pattern on the wall and the camera to show them how it happened, but that's not what happened. When they came back, on the back wall was what they'd expected to see in the first place. The two slits. Just a column of where the particle went through this slit and hit the back wall, and then some of the other particles went through the other slit and hit that wall. Just a column and a column, which is what they expected to see in the first place. So they're like, well, that's what we expected to see in the first place. However, how did that wave pattern thing happen? So somebody got the big bright idea. Well, those particles can go anywhere when they're not being observed. When nobody observes them, one particle can be here and there at the same time. Sounds like magic. Sounds like woo-woo. Sounds like certainly not physics, right? But this is something that physicists have had to accept, that it happens. So then they're like, well, okay, let's play a trick on this experiment. we'll turn the camera off. So the particles are going to think they're being watched, so they'll behave in a way. So they turn the camera off, left, did something else, came back a little while later and expecting to see the columns because the particles think they're being watched by the camera. Well, what was there? You probably already know. It was the wave pattern again. The particles were not fooled by them turning off the camera. The particles were not being observed, so therefore they did the wave thing again. So this is perplexing, and there is no answer to this. Sorry if I'm letting you down here. There is no answer. All it means is that until something is observed, it's everything. It is a field of possibilities. So I came back with this big thing, this big what that? Yeah. Anyway, spectacles. So when we haven't, why did I get into that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's very interesting though, correct? So with regards to the inventors who invent things separated by cultures, separated by oceans, separated by cultures. Never say that. Separated by language. They've never met, never heard of each other, anything. But they both come up with the same invention at the same time. How does that happen? Well, we don't know. We can speculate. And like Nikola Tesla, some people say that Nikola Tesla invented the radio and that Marconi guy in Italy stole his idea. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they both had the same idea that was plucked out of the ether. Now, before you think I'm crazy, Nikola Tesla said that he would go into a trance or go into a meditation or some kind of state, and he would come back with he didn't use the word download, but because they didn't have that back then, but he would come back with a download of some invention. He would know from the ground up every single nut and bolt in this thing, and he could imagine it working. He could every little detail about a machine. It's amazing. And he didn't really take credit for any of this stuff. He said that he got it from the ether. Actually, he thought he got it. He was being sent messages from Venus or Mars or whatever. That just kind of tells me that, I don't think he's crazy at all. I think he's a pioneer. I think he's a revolutionary. I think he just had the balls to say it. But I think what he really got it from was just the field of knowledge that is out there. So, he apparently tapped into a field of sorts and brought out of it ideas. The download. Yeah. So anyway, what does all this mean, Matt? You've been rambling on for 14 minutes. Yeah, well, I've watched people ramble for freaking hours on here. And you guys will just doing freaking sound checks and shout outs. So, yeah. But there's so much that we don't know. And how do we apply these things that we have learned that we can't necessarily explain, but we know it's there? We know it exists because it's been proven too many times. And that's okay. We don't have to explain everything. Sometimes it's just we accept it. I mean, sure, if you want to explain things like that, okay, that's fine. But you may be getting in over your head. Maybe our human brains just cannot comprehend it. Maybe these 3D brains just can't comprehend it. So instead of worrying about the details, maybe we can just apply it to our lives, make it work, right? We can create our own realities to have amazing lives using laws of physics that aren't even on the books yet, using laws that nobody even acknowledges. In fact, speaking of Nikola Tesla, one of my favorite quotes is Nikola Tesla said, and I may be a little bit off here, the day science begins studying non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than all of its centuries previous. 1 decade, 10 years, will make more progress than the centuries leading up to that decade. And I tend to believe he's correct because there's so much that we don't know. There's so much we can't see. In fact, we can only see 5% of the light spectrum. We can only see 5% of the universe. The rest of it can be detected, but what is it? Dark energy, dark matter, dark this, dark that, whatever. We know it's there. We can detect it. We can calculate it. We can all that. But we just can't see it. I mean, hell, there could be entire planets just sitting there. But because they are made of something that is outside of our field of comprehension, that maybe they don't vibrate on the same frequency we do, we can't see it. Maybe we couldn't even interact with it. Much like with radio waves. You know, if you turn on a radio and you flip over from station 100.3 to 101.5 and back and forth. You know that both of those stations are traveling through the airwaves, right? I know, like in the city I live in, there is a 98.1, there's 100.1, there's 103.3. And I know that right now, as I'm speaking, all three of those radio stations are broadcasting right here. I've got the radio waves for 103.3 here. I got the radio waves for 100.1 here. And I got the one for 98 going that way. Crisscrossing and everything. And I know they're there. But I cannot. Sorry, I'm supposed to stay in front of that. But I cannot detect them unless I am tuned into them. So what is it that we're not tuned into? I mean, that could explain a lot of phenomena. That could explain UFOs, and no, I don't believe they come from outer space. Sorry, I just don't. I mean, they're very rarely seen coming from the sky anyway, or coming down from it. They're seen in the sky, but they're not seen coming down from the sky. Most UFOs are seen over water or around mountains and flying straight into the side of a mountain, whatever. What are they? I don't know. All I'm saying is that I don't believe they come from outer space. I think they come from inside the planet, if they come from anywhere at all. Or maybe another dimension entirely. I don't know. It's not what's important. What is important is that we don't know what we don't know. And we can apply this to our own lives. We can accept the things that we can accept the things that we do know that we cannot explain. It's like, I'm perfectly fine with not understanding why the philosophy of be as if works. Be as if you are, right? Like, for example, I like to write. I'm not real good with the spoken word thing. Surprise. I know I've just blown your mind with my spoken word right here, right? I'm more with the written word. Although I'm really trying to get good with the spoken word. I have the podcast, My Sober Addiction, and I love the podcast. I do. And it's doing pretty well, actually. Some heavy editing, I will tell you that. That's okay. Each episode's about 25 to 30 minutes long. Very rarely. I think I've had a few that went over 30 minutes. But not many. So anyway. I'm trying to be as if, I'm doing the spoken word thing right now. And am I struggling with it? Yeah. Obviously, I'm sitting here struggling with it right here, right now, right in front of you. Do I plan to ever upload this video? Most likely not. Now, I don't know. Maybe someday, if I get some books published and people people are like, hey, let me hear that stuff that you did that you were struggling with. Almost like a bloopers reel or something, right? Might release this there. Maybe you'd like to raise money for charity or something and be like, okay, if I can raise X amount of dollars for this, then I'll release that video where I rambled and sounded like a complete jackass. Maybe. Otherwise, I'm just practicing. Or maybe I'll just go ahead and upload it any damn way. Why would I do that? I don't know. I mean, I would like to do live videos where where actually just getting on and just rambling about shit is just kind of encouraged. So maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should just like jump on YouTube and just start freaking bleh. Just start marathoning it, man. Just stay on there for freaking hours. Just reading books and shit and doing, drinking coffee and Anyway, if you are a fan of My Sober Addiction, well, even if you're not, I love you. I appreciate you sticking this out with me. And I'll be back. Chances of you seeing this, I'm probably dead. My kids are like putting it out there just for shits and giggles. If you're seeing this, I'm dead. Maybe not. I love you though.